Hi, welcome to 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗀 and welcome to our second Christmas drinks masterclass. So if you were with us last week, you'd have tried some lovely 𝗙𝗵𝗀𝗀 and a lovely 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗀 as well cocktail. Last week we didn't have a classic drink in the middle just because there was too much to do with those drinks, because they're quite complicated. But this week we do. So we've got essentially two main drinks, and if you've ordered our pouch drink and lucky enough to have ordered that, then you'll have our hot buttered rum as well, which is our classic drink in the middle. These are all riffs on classics, these drinks. They're Christmas drinks for a reason, and they are truly fabulous. And so the first drink we've got today is a fantastic Odin's Glog. But before I get to that, I'm going to do my usual little bit and just say what's in our box this week. So as usual, we have our bottles 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is for the first drink, and 3 and 4 will be for the last drink. And so if you've got the pouch, that will be the one in the middle. We also will have a little garnish bag in there. You've got some dehydrated apple. You'll also have some dehydrated orange and some cloves, and that will be for your first drink, the dehydrated apple and cloves. If you've got a nutmeg grinder, or you've got nutmeg, really good. Every Christmas drink is brilliant with nutmeg, so a little bit of that goes an absolute long way. So this week we don't need any cocktail tins, we don't need any ice. It's all hot drinks, so we need pans, we need a hob. You need to be in your kitchen and set up there, and you're good to go. As always, I'm going to show you how I make these drinks from scratch and talk a bit more about them, talk about the history, and tell you a little bit more about what's going on it. And so, yeah, we're going to crack on with the first drink, which is our Odin's Glog, or Odin's Gluck, as you should pronounce it. And Glug, or Glug wine, is a kind of lovely Scandinavian, Norwegian, Swedish seasonal drink, and always drank in its bucket loads around this time of year. And so the first thing I'm going to do with this drink is prepare my garnish. Now in your box you should have some nice an orange wheel with some nice cloves in there. Also what you'll have is to get a few heat-proof glasses as well. So yeah, these glasses, obviously we're using some tempered glasses just so that we've got those to make the drinks, and they're hot drinks. As I say, cups will do, mugs, but if you've got a little teacup like that, it's kind of fine. Sometimes using something like I'm going to use, which is a little 𝗪𝗀𝘀 cup as well, is another really cool thing to use, hot or cold. So yeah, the first one we've got this week, as I said, is a Glog, or Glug. And so I used to work for a company called Royal Scandinavia, so I used to drink this all the time. I've also been really lucky with my business partner. We opened a bar for a client a few years back out in Oslo, so we got to try all these lovely Scandinavian, Norwegian delicacies and drinks out there, and it was a bit of a drinking mission to basically find out everything I could about Scandinavian drink. I then also at the same time was opening and doing the drinks lists and consulting for a Scandinavian company and doing all their drinks lists. So I had to come up and I had to learn all about these Scandi products, which I hadn't really played with before, and I always found them a bit difficult. And so it was a lot of research went into taming those spirits. So yeah, this first one, which is Glog, Glug, is basically a wine-based thing. It's the Scandi equivalent of mulled wine. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get this one going straight away. So you'll need bottles number 1 and 2, and that's into a pan. So I'm lucky here, I've got my lovely induction hob, makes my life really, really easy. The other thing you will have in there is a pick, and that's for your second drink. I'm just going to pop some of my glassware to one side, and then what we're going to do is, as I said before, we just want to take that orange wheel like that, and we're going to pierce it with the cloves. And so the cloves come these little studs all the way around that orange wheel, and so I've got 4 equidistant, and as you can see, just like that, we've got 4 little cloves in there. That's ready for our garnish for when we do this. Now, as I said, I'm going to make this from scratch, and I'm using this lovely Aalborg Taffel Aquavit. And so in this, what we've got is essentially it's 50-50. So it's 25 ml of Taffel Aquavit. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this once I've made the drink. First of all, let's get warmed up. I'm in a cold conservatory, it's night, and I need something warm to keep me going, and also to lubricate my throat muscles a little bit. So again, what we've got here is I've made up some cranberry infused vodka, and the way I've done this is I've used dried cranberries. I put it into a sous vide bag. We've vat packed all the air out of it. We've then basically just let that macerate at about 55 degrees for about 4 or 5 hours, and you get this lovely cranberry flavoured vodka without sacrificing any booze. So if you put fresh cranberries in, it's got a lot of juice in it, and all of that juice will come out and dilute the spirit. We want the spirit nice and strong at 40%, so it's that. And I've used a Scandi one for this, and it's Finlandia, and I kind of like it because it's quite affordable, but it's also just a really good clean Scandi vodka. Another really brilliant one is obviously Absolut as well, and 𝗄𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗏 if you're going right up to Finland, there's a Finnish vodka as well. So yeah, so we've got 25 ml of that and 25 ml of our Taffel Aalborg. Now, in 2002, this was voted the world's best aquavit, and so yeah, it's a pretty damn good one. So I always think it's been around since the 1830s, and it's 1846, I think it is, and it's absolutely delicious. So the next thing I've got here is our bottle number 2. So in here, what we have is a spiced tangerine sherbet. So what I've done there, I've basically zested the tangerines, I put it into a lovely bed of sugar. We've then juiced the tangerines into it, we've pasteurised it. We've added loads of spices in as well when we're doing that. So we've added cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, and it's just got all of those Christmas spices in that tangerine sherbet. And I'm just going to pop in 10 ml, so not too much. We just want that hint of clementines and tangerines that we get at Christmas time. I'm just going to pop that into my thing. And now the next bottle I've got here is my wine reduction. So usually in this you'd have a good dose of wine. What we've done is we've taken a nice Malbec. We have basically reduced it down. If you see it, it's really, really gloopy, and you'll think it'll be really gloopy as well. So we've reduced that right down, taken all the moisture out of it, and so a bottle that size is about 2/3 of a bottle of wine. So there's quite a lot in there. We use cooking wine because we don't want to waste money on burning away loads of alcohol, but we reduce it right back, and we do this in kitchens all the time when we're cooking red wine jus and things for lovely red meat dishes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 20 ml in that, and that will just go all the way in. Now the thing I need to do is I need to bring in a bit more volume on that as well, and so I've got some water now, and I'm just going to add in basically about 75 ml of water. Now if you're doing this at home, you can do it in a pan and add in 75 ml of cold water like I'm doing, or you can add in 75 ml of boiling hot water into a hot glass with the drink straight away, and it will do it just as well. I like to just bring it up to temperature a little bit, so I'm just going to pop in my 75 ml of water into that. So as I said, in there I've got my Taffel Aquavit, I've got my lovely my lovely cranberry vodka, and all those Christmas flavours, that tangerine orange, and all of that clove and spice in there as well. So I'm just going to pop that on and just let that come up to temperature. It shouldn't take long. But the lovely thing about induction hobs, if you're not using them at home, they're really good, they're really safe to use. You've got to use the right pans obviously with these things, but they just are really, really accessible, and you can use them with things like the 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 and other pots and pans and things like that as well. And so while that just comes to the boil there, I'm just going to tidy myself up a little bit there just so I can clear some space. So I said, what is Glog? I said, as it is, it's Nordic countries, and it kind of was developed around as a common drink around the 17th century, 16th, 17th century. The original form of Glog was basically a spiced liquor. It was consumed by messengers, postmen, people who travelled on horseback and skis and all that stuff. You think about how travelling in the Scandinavian countries, middle of winter, it was, yeah, pretty miserable stuff going through all those ice fields and stuff. So this was a drink that was served all that winter, and it basically just was that winter warmer. It was a welcoming drink. It was good to give them as they came in with your post, and bringing messages from people you love from far and wide around the Scandi regions. The Gluck recipes, they vary really widely from region to region, and it's kind of really started in Sweden and then sort of migrated north to places like Finland and Norway, and so you can get them in Iceland as well, and they vary. Sometimes they're with a sweet wine, sometimes with a drier one, sometimes with brandy or cognac. The thing that makes my one a little bit different is it's Norwegian, and the Norwegian ones have a difference to every other one, and the one difference they have is this addition of basically this aquavit. And so again, I mean, with these sort of Gloggs, they were, as I said, a great thing that was kind of produced and drunk all over Scandinavia. But where does the word really come from? It comes from this kind of Finnish word, which is glöggi, which comes from a Swedish word, which is glögg, which comes from another word, which is basically 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 or 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and that means hot wine, basically. So it's a bit like when we have brandewijn, burnt wine as well, which we had to make brandy and stuff like that. So it's similar etymology of the word. So it's these things sort of quite often go in tandem around the world, where certain etymological words will just always date back to the same thing. And as I said before, the Norwegian one that we've got here, and I'm just going to pour this in. This is nice and hot, as you can see, steaming away. I'm just going to pour that in. I'm using an Irish coffee glass, and as you can see, steaming all the way there. Perfect. All the way in. I'll just pop that down there now, out of the way. I'm going to get my next pan up, which will be for my second drink. So, see, I'm well prepared here. I don't need these is my ice tongs. We're all hot this week. The next thing I'm going to do is just pop in there my lovely orange and clove garnish. And this really will release those flavours as well, release a little bit more of the flavour and the aromatics of clove and orange that are in that drink. And so I'm going to say skål, and to my Odin's Glugg, and oh, I love this. That to me is just winter, and winter warmer that couldn't get any better. So as I said, what is this stuff, which is this aquavit? And I've got a couple here. I've got the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 sort of one as well, which is another aquavit. I'll tell you a bit about that in a sec. I did have somewhere down here, there we go, another one which is, again, same people as this. It's Aalborg again, and Aalborg have a whole range of them, from aged ones to all sorts. But this is their dill aquavit. It's got a bit of a rude name for you over here, but it basically means dill aquavit. And so this is really, really heavy on like fresh dill and dill seed, and tastes completely different. You could not find two polar differences in aquavits, but they're both by the same company. And so yeah, that one's basically really heavy on the dill flavour. But what is it? It's basically, if we go all the way back and we think about when we're talking about whiskey and all our written gin and all our old spirits that have all this historical background going back to monks and monasteries and the 12th and 13th centuries. And these monks from the monasteries, they would travel all over. They travelled to Scandinavia, they travelled to the norths of Scotland, they travelled everywhere trying to take the word of God, and they took with it the distillation technique. And they also they made medicines using local herbs and local spices. And so this was called aqua vitae in Latin, which meant basically water of life. And you can pretty much see almost exactly, it's one of the ones where we can really trace it almost exactly back to aquavit, aqua vitae, water of life. That's what it is. It is water of life to all the Scandinavians. And it gets its distinctive flavour from a range of herbs and spices. And with aquavit, especially in Norway, the main spice is a distillate of caraway and or dill seed. So it's the dill and caraway seeds that they use. And if you think about dill, they use it a lot in their cooking with their fish as well, and caraway as well. And so they're really Scandi flavours when you have them, and they just really evoke that sort of that higgy feeling of being warm, wrapped in sheepskin rugs. A shot of aquavit, which sort of it's a little bit brutal, and it's lovely, and it's an acquired taste, but in a cocktail we've really learned how to tame it. And I've done loads of drinks with this now. I've done cosmopolitans with it, I've done sweet drinks, long drinks, sour drinks, you name it. I've done drinks with this now, and it's become really versatile. It's a real sort of stable. Now at some point we'll do a whole masterclass just on aquavit, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer for the spring for that one, because I've got some great spring drinks using things like the dill with a fantastic loads of fresh dill in it, and making a kind of mojito drink with that, which is just sublime. And yeah, I sort of got to learn little bits of Scandi and stuff along the way. I worked for Royal Scandinavia as this big design house for a number of years. And then I've also done a little bit of consulting with them as well. So yeah, that is kind of our aquavits at the moment. The only one I will mention as well, which is this 𝗏𝗏 aquavit as well. Now this is quite interesting. So it says on the bottle, matured at sea. And what they did is they used to have this, and they would have it in barrels, and it would slosh about in these oak barrels. And most aquavit will be this sort of oak matured sort of thing. And so what they do with this is, they tried recreating it by having it in barrels that moved about a lot, and it didn't really work. So what they do now is they actually ship this stuff to Australia and back, and they let the natural motion. So they actually just pile in containers with barrels at sea, so it gets the salt air, and it works. It captures that same flavour now that they always wanted historically with it, with that movement at sea. And it's one of those weird things. It was a company called Arcus that developed that, and it's called Line Aquavit or 𝗏𝗏 Aquavit. And so yeah, it goes all the way from Norway to Australia and back again for just for the hell of it. So yeah, that's aquavit. And so yeah, I hope you like that drink. I'm going to have another sip more because it's a little bit chilly out here. And hell, it's Christmas. I want a drink. And so, next drink I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a hot buttered rum. And this is a wicked recipe. You've got it in a pouch if you've ordered the pouch. If you haven't, you missed out. Always order our pouches. They're only £4 extra, and they're worth every single penny of it. And it means you get an extra drink for almost half price. And if you're paying for postage, so you may as well pay that £4. Get your classic in the middle as well, and you can take part in every drink then. Now, what I'm going to do, hot buttered rum. Where does it come from? Now, my trusty Jerry Thomas, How to Mix Drinks, and it's somewhere at the back here. I can't remember. It's in Flips or somewhere like that, I think. And you've got mulled wines. Here we are, and Port Negus, mulled wine, and of course, hot rum punch. And so there's two rum punches in there. There's a hot rum punch and there's a spiced rum punch. So in those books, his spiced rum punch and that 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝘀𝗀 companion was basically two recipes. One which had Jamaican rum, cloves, sugar, allspice, butter and hot water. The second, which was simply called a hot rum, and was basically the same as a hot spice rum, but I missed all the spices. Instead, what they did is they put some nutmeg on top. And if you want to zhuzh up any drink, whether it's that one, any one, get your nutmeg out and grate it on. It's amazing on every hot drink that you can ever have. I love nutmeg. It's the king of spices for me. And as I said before on other previous masterclasses, the island that nutmeg came from out in the Indies was basically sold by the British to the Dutch for Manhattan. So Manhattan Island used to be called New Amsterdam, it then became New York, obviously York, and it was sold over spice, and it was this spice, the Nutmeg Island. The canny Brits, obviously, they'd already figured out how to grow it naturally elsewhere, and so they didn't need the island where it grew anymore. So, but for years there were battles around this island, for this elusive spice that was just worth more than gold. And so yeah, really cool little backstory just on nutmeg there. So yeah, so we need a pan for this one. And what I'm going to do is, I should have a knife over here somewhere. There we go. Let me just reach in, grab that. And what I've got here is we've got Havana Club Especial, and basically what we've done is we've just put in there loads and loads of vanilla seeds. Basically we've scraped in there a vanilla pod and just done that. So you've got this lovely vanilla infused Havana Club Especial. So I'm just going to literally take 50 ml of that, but I'm not going to put that in yet. Yours is all made up, so it's easy. I'm just going to pop that to one side, but that will be our first ingredient. While that's there, the first thing I am going to do is pop in here a knob of butter. It's called a hot buttered rum for a region, and so per drink it's about that much. It's you can get all fancy with the recipe and everything else. I prefer to just wing it a little bit, but if I was doing it at home, I'd say probably a tablespoon of butter, which is about what that is, leveled off. And yeah, it's pretty damn sexy, this. So I need another jigger. Let me get that out. And so yeah, this one here, what we've got is we've got our butter in there. I'm just going to start melting that down, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in also a nice bit of brown sugar to that. And so all of this kind of materials I've got going in here, these ingredients, are kind of making a fudge kind of recipe. If you've ever made fudge before, you'll know how you make it. Now usually you'd do that, you'd add in some water and then you add in your rum, and that's pretty much it. It's really simple ingredients. But I like to make mine a little bit creamier, because otherwise sometimes the butter solids that are in there, what will happen is they will, in essence, create this gloop on top of the glass. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some condensed milk, about 50 ml, and just popping that in my thing. And what we're doing is making a batter. So if you watched last week when we made that, when I told you how we made that lovely batter, we're essentially doing the same thing. And so what I'm doing here, I'm just going to stir that up, and this is all melting in. Lovely, lovely. And then the next bit I need in there is a little bit of my spice syrup as well, and that spice syrup is in your drink as well. And I'm just going to pop in there about 10 ml. Yeah. Now I'm going to pop up on here the recipe for this, so that you can make this at home over Christmas. All 3 recipes. I'll just pop them on with this masterclass when I post it. So you've got all that. So the link will be there on our website for it. Now once that's all melted, you can see it's all coming up to temperature. What I need to do is literally just add in my rum. I'm going to put my rum in, and it just all starts. I'm just continually stirring. What I don't want it to do is get too hot. I don't want it to separate. I don't want it to curdle. I'm just going to literally, that's almost done. I need a little bit of water in there as well, just to lengthen it out. Just going to move that off the set, just so that it's not there. And then the next thing I need is a bit of water again. I'm just going to put in about 50 ml of water just to lengthen it, and that will allow that, and just pop that back on the heat. This is such a lovely, lovely drink. So it's kind of decadent, because you've got, the reason why I add that sort of the condensed milk is the milk helps it give it a really creaminess to it. The butter just velvet in your mouth. And then just going to turn them off. That should be up to temperature now. As you can see with this one, it's just like this. It looks like liquid fudge, which is what it is. And again, it's a really elegant drink to have, and it's like, it's not something that you drink loads and loads and loads of. It's quite sweet, it's quite velvety, but it's delicious, and it's just like, I smell that moment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to put some nutmeg on the top of this, and Nah, Christmas. Happy Christmas, guys. This is drink number 2, so it is the hot buttered rum. And so, yeah, if I'm making that sort of Havana Club, I put a whole seeded vanilla pod into the rum and then strain it out. If I was making a batch of this, the way I would do it is I'd make a nice big batch. And as you can see, we've batched this up beforehand. So the way this is in the recipe is you've got 1 bottle of rum, whole vanilla seeded pod seeded into it. Then you melt literally 125 grams of salted butter, 1 whole can, 297 gram can of condensed milk, 100 grams of dark brown sort of muscovado sugar, and then about 150 ml of spice syrup. And then to make your spice syrup, what you do is make a litre, you add in basically 700 ml of water, add in about a teaspoon of ginger, a teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of nutmeg, teaspoon of allspice, 5 cloves, 2 star anise, put it all in water, boil it all off for about 5–10 minutes, just simmering, then add in your about 100 grams of sugar and it will just start making it a bit syrupy. Let it chill and in a jug and let it stand overnight. What will happen is all of the spice will sediment to the bottom, and then what you can do is you can just decant off, leaving all the spice and the sediment in the bottom, and you'll have a nice brown clear liquid like we've got. Then what you do is just put it back in the pan, add the extra 300 grams of sugar to it and bring it up to temperature, pasteurize it and bottle it, and you'll have about a litre of your mixed spice syrup. And you can use it in all sorts of cocktails, and it just brings that really Christmassy flavour to any drink. And so just making things like with some lemon and the spice syrup and brandy or whiskey, and you get these lovely hot toddy drinks as well, which is just, again, really good social drinks. And so I'm going to have a bit of my hot buttered rum. Now, when you have this in your thing, you'll need to have your pouch, and you'll need to add in about 50 ml of water just to bring that pouch up to the right consistency. It's a bit strong in the pouch. So the one thing you need to do is add some hot water, just pop it in a pan, give it a stir as you simmer it slowly, don't let it burn, don't let it boil, and you will just have this lovely, lovely buttery velvet drink. And it's one of those lovely drinks that gives you a nice milk moustache. And yeah, these are some of my favourite winter drinks, these ones. And I'm really hoping you're enjoying them at home, because I absolutely love these drinks. I loved last week where we had those decadent eggy drinks and whatnot. And these drinks are very much associated with the holiday season. And basically the hot buttered rum dates back to sort of colonial days, and it sort of dates back to people having their own individual recipes. Early Americans, they believed that it was really nutritious and a real sort of hardener and strengthener of the body to have loads of rum, and so they drank lots of rum. And so, yeah, as I said before, this was in the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗀's Companion. It dates right back to his very first cocktail books. And yeah, there's quite a few of them, different recipes out there. You can play around with the base spirits. You can do it with tequila, you can do it with gin, rum, all sorts of agricole rums. I prefer to use the Caribbean rums like they did originally, like the Jamaican rums, things like Appleton, things like Havana Club, even the Bacardi aged ones. Plantation makes amazing with a bit of OFTD on the Plantation. Oh my God, that's seriously good. But it's a really super strength. It's got an extra whack of alcohol in it, and but it works absolutely brilliantly. So yeah, that's our second drink. I hope you like that. And we're putting the recipes up. Enjoy these drinks over Christmas. I know it's really hard at the moment trying to be social with this damn bug, and this this thing that's out there is stopping us from being bartenders. And one of my great pleasures at the moment is I'm doing lots of masterclasses. I will have just done literally back to back about 20–25 masterclasses this week. I'm doing about 4 or 5 a day, and it's the best thing about it. They're all on Zoom, and so I'm really getting into seeing customers again, even though they're on my screen, and it's just having that engagement and that bit of to and fro. It's lovely, these ones as well, but it is one direction. And so you hear me talking literally for 45 minutes every week, or Jacob. And yeah, it's really hard for us in our industry to not have that interaction with customers. And so, yeah, that's been absolutely special for me. And there's a little bit of news as well. We're basically doing a New Year's Eve special, and we're going to do it all on Zoom. So watch this space. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the masterclass. Next, I'm going to get on to our next drink, which is our 𝗓𝗚 drink. And I hope you're enjoying that, but it is lovely. It's just really warming me out in this cold conservatory at the moment. And I think I'm probably going to get through a few of these this week, doing all the masterclasses in a cold conservatory. So yeah, so we've done a crazy 𝗓𝗚𝗀 sort of punch, and yeah, I kind of love 𝗓𝗚𝗀 drinks, and we've had them on our drinks list quite a bit. We had a Christmas one a while back, and I kind of like it because I'm based here in the West Country now, and I was in London for years, but I grew up down here, and you grow up hearing about and knowing about 𝗓𝗚𝗀, and then you go elsewhere in the country and everyone looks like you've got 3 heads and 20 fingers, and some of them do. But yeah, 𝗓𝗚𝗀, it kind of falls into 2 distinct categories. There is the house visiting 𝗓𝗚𝗀, which is a kind of Christmas carol singing, and then there's the orchard visiting 𝗓𝗚𝗀, which is very poignant down in the West Country. And I remember this from when I was a kid, and I'm sort of surrounded in Devon here. We've got loads of apple orchards, loads of little villages that still have these lovely, lovely traditions and keeping them going, keeping them alive. And you go in some of the local pubs and you see all the virgins who are in their white outfits, and they're like teenagers, and they're in the orchards, and you've got generations and generations of pictures. It's real kind of Wicker Man kind of territory, but you go in some of the old pubs around here, they do still have all those pictures up there, and they're fascinating, and that still goes on. And we have this lovely folk festival each year, which has all of these Mad Morris dancers come down here as well. And so all of these things kind of stem from British tradition and from our history. And it's been really great this year, sort of sharing a lot of this history with you, both on all the booze sides of it, but also the history of the drinks and the history of where these sort of words and all the rest of it come from. So yeah, to the house visiting 𝗓𝗚𝗀, it basically was, what happened was people went door to door singing, and they would have a big bowl of this punch. It was made of cider and apples and beer and apple cognac, apple jack, and spices and all sorts of things. And they would go around, they would sing and offer a drink from the 𝗓𝗚𝗀, and they would get gifts in return. And so people would give them something back in return. And it still exists, and it still happens, but it's mostly being displaced by, obviously, carol singing now. And it's like, as always, the church kind of takes something over because they don't like people doing it, and they kind of make it their own. And so carol singing started coming about going around to people's doors and doing carol singing and stuff like that. And the orchard version is really ancient, and it goes back to visiting orchards in these regions like Devon and Somerset and Cornwall, and reciting incantations and singing to the trees, and it's all to promote a good harvest for the coming year. And it kind of happens around the 12th night, and I'll get to that in a second, but let's make the damn drink. So the other thing we're going to need for this is we will need another of our heat-proof glasses. So I'm using these lovely Irish coffee glasses, and they're great little glasses because you can hot and cold. They're sort of like a martini size as well, so they're really good for that as well. Let me just grab a jigger, and I need my last pan. So I'll be doing lots of washing up tonight, but hopefully I'll have a nice little buzz to do it with. So the first thing we're going to have in this drink is, this is your bottles number 3 and 4, by the way. So all you need to do, chuck it in, and then what we're going to do is add a bit of water to that, and then bring it to the temperature again. And so, but I'm going to show you exactly what's in there. And so what I've got is this lovely Bombay Bramble Gin. So this is just released this year. They picked a hell of a year to release new products, but as with a lot of things like Hendrix as well, they all got pushed back and they've released it, but it's great. So Bombay Bramble, I'm hoping to get up there when lockdown all finishes, and we're going to take the gang, go up to the distillery, and we'll do some masterclasses just on Bombay's Sapphire, and we'll use some of their really cool products up there for that. So it's got 35 ml of that in there. And then what I'm using here is 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗴𝗀𝗴, and so this is basically what's in your bottle number 3 here. I'm just going to pop in 15 ml, which take me up to that, 50, of the 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗴𝗀𝗴. Now 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗴𝗀𝗡's a pear liqueur. It's delicious. It's not the cheapest of liqueurs, but it just adds this lovely rich pear flavour. There's pear cognacs like 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 and other ones out there, but you can get the 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗊𝗀𝗀𝗀s. They're much more punchy and stronger. But yeah, 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗴𝗀𝗡 particularly nice. The next thing I'm going to do in there is basically pop in 30 ml here of our spiced apple and lemon cordial. So this is super versatile. It's basically apple, ginger, layered up. So we basically take fine slices of apple, slices of ginger, we layer it in sugar, you make that up. We then add in tartaric, malic and citric acids. And so to give you an idea, for every sort of 1.5 to 2 litres of liquid, we add in 30 grams of acid, 10 grams of each, and it dials back the sweetness and gives that real acidity to it. So a bit of citric, which is from citrus fruit, a little bit of malic, which is from apples, and a little bit of tartaric, which is from grapes. And yeah, so we pop that in. So the other thing we've got in here is what I call Christmas bitters, and it's essentially a blend of 3 bitters. And what we've got here is Bitterman's Cranberry bitters. So we've got a dash of that in there. And so these are lovely cocktail bitters. Gives a really nice sort of bitter cranberry flavour to it there. A little dash of 𝗀𝗃𝗀. Now 𝗀𝗃𝗀 is my kind of go-to for all of the winter spice. It's a great one because it's got cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and loads, hundreds of spices in there. And it's just really delicious. The last thing I've got is some Regan's orange bitters, which gives us a bit of that orange in it as well. So in there I've got cranberry, orange and spice, and yeah, it's Christmas, so that's why. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that up to temperature a little bit, and whilst that's going, I'm just going to get a little bit of water to pour in here as well, again for this. So again, what I want to do is just add in some about 50-60 ml of water. You may want to lengthen it a little bit more. This one is a little bit sweeter, so what we want to do is just add a little length to that. So yeah, as I said, the garnish for this one will be your pick with your apple, and this will go across the top of the drink again, and so just speared it across. Again, with this drink, I always like to put in a little bit of nutmeg to this as well, just to have that extra spice. So I'm just going to do that as it's simmering away. These induction hobs are great because I can take it on the move, we can take our bar around and stuff like that, and we can do these outside these drinks if necessary as well. And so so 𝗲𝗄𝗃𝗀, where does it come from? It's basically an Anglo-Saxon word, and it was a greeting. And just going to switch that off now. As you can see, that's just come up to temperature, and I'm just going to pour that again into all that nutmeg in there as well at the moment, which is lovely. And yeah, that's the last of the drinks, and then I'm just going to pop that on top. And there we have my crazy wassail. Yeah, the wassail, it comes from this Anglo-Saxon greeting, which is 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗃, and it means be thou hail, or be in good health, essentially. Be thou hail, be in good health. And so there was a response to it as well. So when someone came to your door, you would go that 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗴, and be in good health, and there would be 𝗓𝗏𝗏, which meant drink and be healthy. So 𝗓𝗏𝗏 and drink and be healthy. And as I said before, now in that you'll get the lovely blackberry and raspberry bramble gins shining through. There's a nice juniper hit on it still. You then have that lovely pear flavour, and then the apple, the sours and the apples, and all those bitters rounding it off. And yeah, they're three kind of completely different flavoured drinks, and but all hot, and all that you could serve as big punch bowls that you could ladle out and have them over a roasting fire and things like that. It'd be a really good way to do it, you know. And one of the things we can do at the moment, we can meet outside to a degree, and so this is a great sort of have a big fire pit going, lots of warm blankets, and everyone's just drinking nice hot drinks and keeping warm and social while staying safe with the breeze around us. And so traditionally the wassail, it was celebrated on 12th night, and that's generally thought of to be the 5th or 6th of January. You think about the 12 days of Christmas, and when we take down our Christmas trees and things like that. So that was traditionally the wassail then. So some people still do it on the old 12 night, which is January the 17th, because it would have been a Georgian calendar back beyond pre-1752. So when they changed to our current calendar, and so yeah, so it would have been around the 17th of January. And so yeah, in the Middle Ages, it was seen as another drink that was kind of a reciprocal exchange between the feudal lords and their peasants as a form of recipient sort of giving and charitable giving. But it wasn't begging, it wasn't that at all. It was very much a way of, they would come singing and wassailing, here we come wassailing, and the wassailers would come and they would tell the Lord that they were here, and the Lord would give out food and drink, and the peasants would give their blessing to their Lord and goodwill. And so one of the sort of rhymes was, love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too, and God bless you and send you a happy new year. And yeah, it would have been great, because they would have done that, and then they would have given you lots and lots of figgy puddings, and a lot of our Christmas traditions, they all come from these kind of medieval and Victorian kind of traditions, and date way back. And one of the things obviously we love history at Dr. Inks, we love talking about the history of the drinks, and so one of the things I love is Christmas time and all the history of that. It's a great time to be social, be with family. We're really lucky this year. In one way, we've got one blessing of the what's happening at the moment is that our bars are shut. Usually we're mad busy in all the bars and things like that. So all of our team are going to have the first time in years to actually spend it with their families, their kids, and really have a chilled out Christmas for once. And I hope they don't get a taste for it, because we want to be back next year, bigger and larger than life. I'm going to wish you all an absolute belter of a Christmas. And but before I close off, I just want to say what we're doing with our New Year's Eve party. So this New Year's Eve, we've got a Zoom party box going out. There's 5 of our favourite cocktails. We're going to pick them. We're going to put 5 cocktails in a box. 2 will be pouch drinks, 3 will be made drinks. We're going to do a live interactive Zoom masterclass. I'm going to be here doing a couple of drinks. Jake will be doing a drink from his home bar. We're all going to get sloshed and have a bit of a good time in the comfort of our homes. And yeah, I mean, if you want to get other people, if we're allowed to, into the garden to do some, if you've got any ideas of what you might like to see coming up next year as well, please do send through your sort of suggestions. We've got an idea. We want to do more on whiskey, more on absinthe. We've got another absinthe masterclass coming up in the new year. We are closed for the week of Christmas, basically, so that week. So next week's this week's is the last one for until New Year's Eve. Then New Year's Eve we're back. It's a double box. It's £25 that box, but you are getting 5 drinks in it instead of just the 2. And also we've got that Zoom link. It's going to be a lot more fun, and we're going to chuck loads of goodies in there to make it a proper party box as well. So it's going to be a good one to go for. As I said, that will be £25, and it's going to be fun doing New Year's Eve, and it's going to be fun interacting with you all as well, which is the part I'm really looking forward to. So I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to wish you all from us at 𝗪𝘀𝘀𝗀. So that's from myself, from Sophie, from Sophie, from Tom, and our wives and partners, families. We just want to say thank you so much for making this year so good, and we can't wait to celebrate with you on New Year's Eve, and you'll see all of us there linking in, having a bit of fun, socialising. It'll be about 8:30, that one, on New Year's Eve. And we've got quite dab at doing the Zoom masterclasses now, so we should be able to do it fairly without hitch like last week's. This is recorded a few days earlier, so I can get it up online. So yeah, none of those hitches again. Thank you again. Have a absolutely fantastic Christmas. See you on New Year's Eve. If not then, we will see you in the new year. And yeah, we'll look forward to it. Thanks again from